we return once again to our Let's Go Trophy Hunting series here in the Hunter Classic after a 2-week break to check out the newly added wood grouse. And today we're making a couple of changes to the series. So you can see, we've got the cableback bow on the wall here. That is going to start to be incorporated into our loadouts. And I only made the decision to do that because we're making some other changes to the series. After discussing it with you guys on stream, I decided to go ahead and add 2 maps and 1 particular target to this series. Obviously, we're here on Timbergold Trails. We're going to be adding Timbergold and adding Logger's Point back into the mix, specifically because I would love to find a 400 non-typical mule deer. Lofty goals for sure, but I think it adds a lot of potential to this series. Everything from Rocky Mountain elk to puma, obviously getting mule deer back into the mix since we stopped chasing them when we got our 200 whitetail. I just think it's going to be good for the series, and I'm really excited to branch this out a little bit. One thing I forgot to mention, by the way, is the addition of Grizzly Bear to the series. Now, this one is just a female, so not going to be one that goes to the lodge, but it gives us the chance to introduce the 340 to our loadout. We've got a bit of an odd loadout today, and I think this actually fits in quite well. So let's go ahead, take this Grizzly Bear out, and then take a look at our other weapons. So obviously the cableback bow is going to be our bow for today. And just because we've been working to get towards 1,000 kills with it, I thought it would be good to work it into this series. So we've taken the carbon recurve off the board and added the cableback. The other weapon for today is the muzzleloading pistol, and because we have the ability to take deer with some power and range with our handgun, I figured the 340 for things like grizzly bear and elk would actually fit quite well today. So, for our first kill here in the Let's Go Trophy Hunting series on Timbergold, a heartshot grizzly bear, not bad, 15 score, and we'll be on our way. I'm trying to work our way down through the south, just for the heck of it. There is a chance we'd encounter puma down through here, and I kind of thought that would be cool, and we'll just see if we actually find any today. So, go figure, just about the only thing we were able to establish going down through here was that there was basically nothing there. So we fast travel, and we've got mule deer bucks everywhere, we got bull elk everywhere. That buck looks decent. So I want to get at least an estimate on that before we take any shots. Looks like, yeah, probably low 190s at best. And because this elk back here seems to be the best one, we're probably going to try to take this little guy just to make sure he doesn't run over towards the bigger elk. So that is about as good a shot as we can ask for with the cableback. And you know what? I never heard that guy spook. I guess he's going to take off. Maybe we'll hold off on the deer for now. Typically they won't cross anyway, they'll just kind of walk around over there. And maybe we can use the muzzleloader pistol for them. By the way, that's a pretty good grizzly max weight estimate and score estimate. And it looks just like looking at the skull, it looks big. Hopefully he'll hang around. I still want to get that elk, he's fairly close. And we're going to have to use the bow, obviously, for that. But that bear may be worth taking out. I don't even know. For black bears, those were the only bears we could have added to the lodge in the past. I think we have 2 just sort of average at best bears. It would be nice to fill one of those other platforms. So that'll be the move then. Unfortunately, a decent mule deer buck would be great, but the chance it may be a 27 plus grizzly does not come along that often. So let's be sure to get the elk first. That'll drop him. And there's no reasonable way to make this work other than just taking him with the 340. So when he goes back broadside, a little high there, but that dropped him. And we won't even worry about the mule deer. So we got 2 elk laying here. And then maybe a really big grizzly bear. I've had numerous occasions with high estimate bears where they only score like 25. I can't recall noticing the skull being obviously good size. 350 by the way for that elk. Not too bad. We've only ever shot one 27 plus grizzly, and it was like 5 a.m. first thing in a hunt and just charging us. I shot it with a crossbow. I don't even think it was recorded, so I don't even know what to look for, but maybe today we can find out. So the length and width of the skull is how bears are scored, and both of those measurements seem like they'd be pretty decent. Let's take a look at this guy. We hit him in the spine as expected, 26.8. That's probably our 2nd or 3rd biggest grizzly ever. You can tell by the CSS. That's a good one, so we'll tax that. That is, we could do the skull. but I want to get the full body platforms done, so we'll go with that, and then we'll take a quick trophy shot here, our first real trophy on Timbergold trails in the Let's Go Trophy Hunting series. You know, I wish I had noticed before we shot. You can see there's no eyeballs visible there. That's a thing that happens with high-scoring, skull-scored animals. I've seen it with wolves before, I've seen it with polar bears before, bobcat. I don't think it's with every one of them, but that would have been an extra indication that this was a pretty good one. Would have loved if we went 27 plus, but I actually don't mind it that much. There's a fur type that's also called common, but it's more of like a lighter coloration. It used to be referred to as gray, I swear, but I can never find any references to that. But that's the fur type of our 27 plus, and I think they look way better than the common brown fur type. And to remain the fact that our biggest one has the nicer fur, I can live with that. I really didn't look closely enough to know for sure, but I actually think this is the third bull from the other tree stand, the one that we spooked off. It looks about right, and I just can't remember what the estimate was, but let's try to get that with the cable back. Always got to be careful in these towers letting things get too close, so we're probably just going to accept this will be single lung and we'll have to track him, but that should be fine. He's actually going to run down kind of where I wanted to go. That may end up spooking stuff, maybe he'll drop just in time, but at least it kind of brings us along the path we were planning on going. I mean, it's not perfect, but he's actually just on the opposite shore here of the river, which I think is going to be fine. The potential to call in mule deer, other elk, maybe wolves from the stand that's down here, I think will still remain. He really wouldn't have even run that entire distance. He probably trotted mostly across the river. And actually, something like that is pretty good evidence that he didn't spook everything. So we'll probably leave him for a moment, jump in the stand, and see what we can call in. So we had to abandon the tree stand. There was a pack of wolves, but way out of calling range. The weird thing is though, and I can't think of a time I've ever seen this, I don't think there's a male in this pack. Every single wolf appears to be a female, so I guess it really doesn't matter which one we go for. We'll probably just try to get the one in the front, and we'll go with the muzzleloader pistol here just to get to use it. I don't like that it's getting that close to the rocks, so we might let it kind of pop up over a little bit. And of course, we get a little potentially more challenging with them trotting in, but it certainly helps that they were way more in range. So, getting to use the inline muzzleloading pistol a little bit, and normally with muzzleloaders I don't reload after we make the kill because it takes forever, but I also often then forget. But this one's actually pretty quick, so we can take a look at this, and we're almost straight across from the elk. It's a little bit to our left. Harsh shot again though. 50 kilos is not bad for a female wolf, 15.2 score. And now, we can finally check out an elk that we saw, I believe, quite a while ago. And also, it did indeed work out that he ran right over here, because had he ran closer to where the wolves were, I can't say for certain he wouldn't have ended up spooking them. Right lung shot at 60 meters, 319 score, and that's a pretty good deal. We've had quite a bit of variety and some decent animals already. The one thing is though, the species we're actually here for, well, we have yet to shoot a mule deer buck. And right on cue, we have a mule deer buck, 65 to 95, and best of all, leaves just a little room for improvement. Not a lot, only 170 inches or so, but you know, maybe we can get one better than this by the time the hunt is over. So he's approaching 20 meters, kind of a weird spot, again, kind of like the elk. We're probably just accepting we're gonna have to track this guy a little bit, but that is fine. And even, I don't know what we hit. It could have been one of those cases because it was up a little bit high, that is like lung and spine or something. I don't think it was spine 1, and spine 2 and 3 don't insta-kill, so let's actually see. It was lung and liver. We'll take that every time, 86 score, and we don't have to track what is a less than huge buck. We are not moving in the right direction. Another buck with basically the same frame, and we've barely gone anywhere. I think we shot the last one just down kind of around the bend, and for the sake of it, I really don't want to track one now. Let's go with the inline muzzleloader pistol again. We should, even from standing, be able to place that shot in the heart. I think we did. And again, we'll just go ahead and reload now so we don't forget. I've been considering fast traveling anyway. It's not really that far, but I like to fast travel kind of to the other end. Now that's interesting. A fairly fresh and good weight mule deer track. maybe we'll follow that. And so we did make the hard shot, by the way. 82 score, which I think is just smaller than the last. And we'll at least give this a try. We came from this side, so maybe we spooked him shooting the wolves? And naturally, it's taken all of like 3 minutes for this to just turn into a tangled web of tracks. So there's a chance we're only fast traveling like 700 meters. We might be able to encounter him up there. Plus, there's maybe some less confusing things to target that way. So let's just go ahead with the original plan. Well, kind of moving back towards where we started. Got a pretty good elk coming in though, up to 370. And he does have 2 back tines on either side. And I actually think this maybe gives us another chance to use the 340. Because while he may come in first, there's a lot of elk there. And if he ends up towards the back, we're going to have a hard time getting a cable back shot. So let's just take him to the 340 now. Perfectly happy to get to use it again. We only really use this on white rhyme, so it's nice to get to use it on some other species. And frankly, it's probably a little even overpowered for things like Rocky Mountain elk and grizzly, but it's definitely helped us out today. And I think other than like the one elk, we've basically not had to track anything, so that's always a good thing, especially when we want to branch out and have a good variety of species. That short time's gonna hurt us. He might still top the other one we had. 350 was our best so far. This guy comes in at 343. If he had that other time matching, he'd have been a little better, but still decent. So finally, as we approach the 2-hour mark in this hunt, we finally have a halfway decent mule deer. And even that, if you look just where the fork is in the antler, I think he's got 2 different stickers right there, so that's gonna hurt his score. But we'll let him come in just a little closer. I think we're still on the edge of like the forested area, so our camo should be effective. And that broadside angle may actually help us. That should be a single long shot at least. So as long as we don't have to track him that far, that'll be fine. But we're starting to reach the end of the hunt. And frankly, I'd still be much happier with a bear of the size that we got than like an average mule deer buck on the wall. But I did think at some stage today we'd get one big enough to at least put there as a placeholder. Well, this worked out rather nicely. I actually lost the tracks of this buck, and another one called, so I was just on the way up to try to get that, and we stumbled right into him. Left long shot at 15 meters, and a 141 score is still significantly better than any we've shot, but I do think there's at least a chance this will be our last opportunity for an improvement today, and it sounds like it's right here, so gonna hang on to the pistol for a moment, just until we can see. I mean, it's about the same size. Maybe we go ahead with the pistol. It's actually a little bit better. Probably going to be close to 170, up to 175. As long as he doesn't have any stickers or deductions, he'll be close to that. And that's going to drop him. I like this gun. We haven't used it in forever, but it's pretty effective. In this case, it was even way back in testing stomach at 12 meters naturally, and a 166 score for him. So what I want to do, we've got like 8 minutes so we can fast travel, is basically just run straight down to the river, cover a little ground, and see if we can maybe stumble into one more thing. What appears our options are some very unimpressive elk, and I'm thinking, yeah, there are wolves, or at least a wolf chasing that. I do not know if we'd be able to get that to slow down, so I think actually some drives that we don't have to actually participate in other than taking the shot. Wolves are just helping us out a little bit. Well, there's one way to make it stop. If we had another weapon in hand, we maybe could have killed that, but it would have just been an unethical kill. That, though, takes us right to the fast travel time, and obviously not the most special kill here, but at least it's a little something and kind of a unique way to get an elk down. So, with a 189 as our last kill, let's jump back to, I guess, the lodge we started at, and we'll add our bear in there. And so, as per usual, this being a multiplayer session, we can't adjust the poses of the animals right now, but adding a 26.81 Grizzly, I think is better than the black bears we already had, 22.4 and 21.6 from Red Feather. So that's nice to get another bear species addition. And then last time we forgot to look at the newly added weapons. So got the 270 composite above the door, just through the 340 in here. We may move that. I don't know if it's the best place right above a bobcat, but it worked for now. And then we did see the newly added cable back. I think that's going to be good for the series, just being able to continue working on those kills as well. And then for the handguns, got the 44 standard up here from the last hunt, and the newly added inline muzzleloading pistols. So good deal to add all that. We're almost through all the pistols, so I think it's going to be nice to kind of work back through that entire lineup of them again as we continue forward, but I'm really looking forward to Timbergold and Logger Stunts being mixed in with the elk maps and just what else we can add to this lodge is really going to help with the variety, and I think that's going to be a good thing. So anyway, that is officially going to do it for this video, so as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.